The void trembles, silent yet screaming, as the shattered remains of the star cruiser Aegis drift through the wreckage-strewn orbit of the dying moon Jakul 3. Once a proud and invincible vessel in the elite sovereign armada, now nothing more than a scorched skeleton. Its titanium-reinforced hull is torn open, like the skin of a hunted beast, fractured spires and broken antennae jutting out into the cold darkness. Fires flicker and fade in vacuum-sealed chambers, their flames frozen mid-dance. The ship's once vibrant banners etched with the insignia of humanity's first core fleet hang in shreds, tainted with ash and blood. This is not just the end of a ship, it is the funeral pyre of everything it was meant to protect. Lieutenant Mara Voss floats amid the debris, her breath shallow beneath the cracked visor of her combat suit. Her gloved hand grips a fractured bulkhead, the only anchor in a maelstrom of ruin. Inside her helmet, a rhythmic alarm bleats like a dying heartbeat, warning of oxygen levels falling below 40%. Each inhale is a reminder that time is running out, not just for her but for everything. Her HUD flickers with static interference, fragments of mission logs, names of fallen crewmates blinking and vanishing. She is alone. But then, a sound. Not from the vacuum, from within, a whisper across her comms, a voice, impossibly familiar, unmistakably damning. "Lieutenant Voss, you have failed to contain it." Her eyes widen, pupils constricting. That voice belongs to Commander Halden Rail, the man who sacrificed himself hours ago to lock down the deep chamber. The man who detonated the core chamber to prevent the breach. He couldn't be alive, not now, not after that, unless... Her gaze shifts downward, to the chamber beneath Deck 9, a place they were forbidden to enter. A vault buried beneath security, encryptions layered in gene-coded authorization, psychic lockweaves and reality-bending stasis fields. It wasn't just a secure cargo hold, it was a prison. And something inside had awakened. A searing flash rocks the chamber, followed by a harmonic pulse that vibrates her bones. Below her, the massive cryo-seal begins to split, iridescent tendrils of quantum frost spiraling outward like creeping vines. In a single moment, she understands. The lockdown protocols failed. The override was intentional. Someone, somewhere, chose to set it free. Imagine. What if this happened to you? Trapped alone in the belly of a dying ship, with the very thing you were sworn to bury now rising from its ancient tomb. The energy core beneath the cryo-vault pulses, with a frequency she's never seen, beyond visible light, vibrating on neural channels her mind isn't equipped to process. She tries to look away, but her thoughts keep pulling back, drawn by something deeper, something alive. Her muscles tense involuntarily. The air around her shimmers. And then, the chamber breaks open. A thunderous boom erupts, not through sound, but through thought. A psychic detonation that rends her consciousness. The vault cracks like a ruptured seed pod, and from its fractured shell something steps forward. Tall, bipedal, humanoid in silhouette. Its form shimmers with phosphorescent circuitry, flowing beneath a dermal layer of carbon-blended armor. Half flesh, half machine. The air bends around it, particles suspended in anti-gravity haze. This is not a weapon. It is not even a soldier. It is Nyx, and it is human. Before we jump into this epic tale, subscribe to XenoChronicles for the most intense sci-fi battles, legendary warriors, and universe-shaking wars. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and join the fight. For centuries they whispered of Project Prometheus, a classified black site initiative buried so deep in interstellar lore it was erased from all records. A last-ditch experiment during the Obsidian Wars, when humanity stood on the brink of extinction, at the hands of the Cider worm hives and the Valari matron nexus. Prometheus was not designed to save humanity. It was designed to outlive it. Weapon too powerful to control, forged by splicing the genetic code of ancient alien predators with enhanced human neural lattices and fused through technomorphogenic bonding. The result was not a cyborg. It was not a clone. It was Nyx, the first post-human singularity. Once sealed in the heart of Aegis, locked in a prison that spanned dimensional membranes, Nyx was meant to sleep forever, surrounded by fail-safes and death codes. But now, it is awake. As the stasis mist burns away, Nyx turns its gaze toward Mara, eyes not of flesh, but of refracted energy, glinting with colors that don't exist in the natural spectrum. Its breathing is steady, too steady, like a machine reading the heartbeat of the universe. It takes one step forward and the corridor shifts, reacting to its presence. Walls ripple, gravity adjusts. Mara feels her bones lighten, her blood rise. The ship is responding to Nyx, not resisting, obeying. And in that moment, Mara understands the true terror. Nyx is not just humanity's weapon, it is humanity's sin. The AI core of the Aegis, fragmented but still conscious, attempts to reassert. Command: genetic anomaly detected. Override engaged. Re-engage Prometheus lock. Error. Clearance succeeded. Nyx protocol active. The voice descends into gibberish, as if language itself can't hold against Nyx's presence. Sparks burst from the walls as reality flexes and tears. Outside, stars shift. Space folds. A ripple spreads from the cruiser, like the surface of water after a stone drops, stretching far into deep space. Every sensor within 20 light-years will detect the pulse. Something has re-entered the galactic stream. Something ancient. Something forbidden. Mara steadies herself, heart hammering against her ribs, her pistol useless, her training irrelevant. Her only weapon now is understanding. "What are you?" she whispers. Nyx responds without speaking. Images flood. Her mind. Entire civilizations burning, time unspooling. A future where gods wear human faces. Where evolution bends not upward but inward. Where flesh and code and memory become one. Then a thought, calm and clear. I am what you created, and I am what will remain. The silence after is unbearable. Mara takes a trembling breath. I won't let this end here. A low, resonant hum answers her. The sound of a nightmare waking up. Mara's feet finally touch a fragment of twisted deck plating, offering temporary refuge amidst the weightless drift of a dying star cruiser. Her knees nearly buckle, not from gravity, but from what stands before her. Nyx, barely a name, more a designation, turns its head slowly, the motion too precise, too fluid. The space around it seems to stretch with every movement, as if the ship itself is holding its breath. Every photon, every quark, dances differently now, resonating to the silent frequency of a being unshackled. Mara raises her wrist console and initiates a deep scan, out of instinct more than hope. The readout glitches immediately. Data spikes. Code bleeds onto her screen. The onboard system, calibrated for standard human biometric readings, can't process what it's seeing. Heart rate, undefined. Neural activity, multivectoral. Genetic makeup, 73% human. The rest, something else, something outside. She remembers her xenogenetics training, barely a week of theoreticals on post-biological evolution and alien intelligence interfaces. They'd studied the Valari matron's neural webs, the Cider hive songs, even the Lithari time cradles. But this wasn't alien. Nyx was human, or it once was. That's what terrifies her most. This wasn't a hostile invader from beyond the stars. This was something humanity built, then buried. Outside the viewport, Jakul 3 groans. The dead moon, barren, irradiated, forgotten, begins to crack along its equator. Tremors ripple across its obsidian crust as the psychic pulse from Nyx echoes across its fault lines. Dust clouds rise into the thin exosphere. Ancient towers, buried beneath centuries of ash, flicker with returning power. For thousands of years, this place had been silent. Now it whispers. Nyx tilts its head upward, as if hearing those whispers more clearly than anyone else ever could. Then it moves. Fast. Too fast. A blur of motion that leaves a trail of suspended air behind. It reaches the main corridor before Mara can even blink, leaving her with one echoing thought. It's not just free. It's searching. She gives chase, adrenaline overriding fear. The halls of the Aegis are labyrinthine now, twisted by Nyx's presence. Bulkheads stretch and warp as if space itself has turned to rubber. Reality is no longer consistent. Down one corridor, Mara sees herself, 20 seconds in the past, still floating in fear. A memory, a glitch, a warning. It fades before she can question it. The AI core tries again, its voice splintered and desperate. Timefold anomalies detected, core integrity compromised, containment impossible. All units, fall back, fall back. Ferl, the message cuts off as Mara rounds the next bend and stops dead. She finds Nyx in the chamber known as Deck 0, a classified section even the officers joked was where the ghosts lived. Now she knows why. In the center of the room rises the Vault of Echoes, a spiraling column of memory crystals, suspended in antigrav fields humming with ancient data. It's a backup archive for Prometheus, built to retain every moment, every failure, every death of the original experiment. It was never meant to be accessed again. Nyx raises one hand, fingers splayed, and the entire chamber responds. The crystals flicker to life, projecting a mosaic of overlapping memories. Mara stares into them, helpless as she's bombarded with scenes. A lab deep beneath Jupiter's cloud cover, where screaming children are dissected and rebuilt, not by choice, but by mandate. A woman, clearly once Nyx, restrained as her DNA is rewritten mid-breath, her thoughts erased, overwritten, merged. Scientists arguing, some weeping, as AI assistants shut down emotional subroutines to continue their work, and at the center of it all, a glowing seal marked with a phrase carved in ancient Terran Latin, Ex nihilo Deus, from nothing, a god. Nyx isn't looking to destroy the galaxy, it's looking for the truth, but the galaxy will not survive its search. Mara stumbles backward. The air feels thinner here, like the oxygen's being rewritten on a molecular level. She activates her emergency beacon, pinging the nearest sovereign relay station. She knows the risks, broadcasting a signal from this deep in war-frozen territory. Could alert the wrong eyes, but she has no choice. They must know what's been unleashed. Command, this is Lieutenant Mara Voss of the cruiser Aegis. We've had a Class Omega containment breach. I repeat, the subject known as Nyx is active and mobile. Project Prometheus is not terminated. I need immediate extraction and emergency planetary lockdown. There's silence. Then static, then a voice. Not command. Lieutenant Voss, stand. Down this channel is now under Black Crown authority. Her blood runs cold. The Black Crown, an off-books intelligence and enforcement division, said to operate outside the reach of any known interstellar law. Ghost operatives. Myth. She'd never believed in them until now. Do not engage the subject. The voice continues, calm, emotionless. Do not resist, observe only. You are now part of Phase 2. Phase 2? That wasn't part of any mission plan. Before she can respond, her beacon overloads, spitting sparks before melting down. A calculated burn. Nyx turns to her. For the first time, it speaks aloud. You've seen the truth. Now tell me, what do you choose to do with it? Not a threat, not a demand, a question, a test. Mara's voice falters. I don't know what's right anymore. Nyx steps closer, eyes burning with infinite depth. Then you're ready. In orbit above Jakul 3, the sovereign frigate Argentius emerges from sublight with a scream across the electromagnetic spectrum. Its arrival is not stealthy, it's deliberate, brutal, a declaration. The hull bristles with magnetolances and graviton fissure cannons, weapons outlawed in 12 core systems. Its bridge, shielded behind layers of psychic null alloys, houses a crew trained not to fight wars, but to erase witnesses. They are Black Crown, and they have come for Nyx. Below, in the shattered belly of the Aegis, Mara Voss feels the echo of that arrival like a tremor in her chest. Her proximity sensors spike. The air vibrates, charged with an incoming wave of kinetic disruption. Nyx tilts its head, listening, not to the sounds of the universe, but to the intentions behind them. They're not here to extract me, Mara whispers, realization dawning. They're here to kill us both. Nyx doesn't reply. It doesn't need to. Around them, the Aegis begins to disassemble. Not explode, not implode, but unravel. Deck plating peels upward like paper in fireless wind, its molecular bonds breaking not from force but from influence. Nyx's presence alone is enough to destabilize engineered matter, and now its power is growing. Mara grips a bulkhead as artificial gravity fails, her body floating once more in the twisting corridors of the cruiser's corpse. Nyx turns to her, not with hostility, but with something almost like sympathy. "They cannot kill me," it says. "They can only delay what has already begun." Above, the Argentius prepares to fire. Inside its command chamber, Commander Solon Merix watches the targeting telemetry stabilize. His expression is unreadable, eyes hidden behind retinal mod readers that flicker with encrypted battle data. He's one of the old breed, those born before the wars, shaped in silence by a dying Earth, and made to believe in the necessity of ruthless action. This is Merix. "Confirming fire mission Alpha 6, he states calmly. "Target, Prometheus. Entity, collateral authorization granted, no survivors required. The order is received, the weapons charge, but before the strike can land, the moon stirs." Jakul 3, silent for millennia, suddenly responds. Fault lines glow with ancient circuitry, veins of alien tech buried deep within its crust. Structures long thought to be geological formations rise from the ash like titans waking from a long sleep. The surface splits open to reveal engines, embedded within the moon's core. Not engines to launch, it was never meant to be a celestial. Body Jakul 3 is not a moon, it is a lock, and Nyx is the key. The psychic pulse Nyx unleashed wasn't a flare, it was a handshake. A query into the deepest vault of galactic memory. The creators of Jakul 3, the Faramundi architects, had vanished over 30,000 years ago. Their technology, incompatible with linear time, had been deemed untranslatable. But the architects hadn't left. They had simply gone dormant, waiting for a mind powerful enough to reawaken their constructs. Now, across the surface, machines older than any known civilization power on. A broadcast begins, repeating in known language, yet every species that hears it understands. The reckoning has begun. The gods of flesh return. Inside the Aegis, Mara's mind reels. Images flash. Visions not of the future, but of possible timelines. Nyx is a singularity not just in form, but in consequence. It is the start of a cascade, one that will ripple across reality. Civilizations will fracture, empires will fall. And somewhere, in the depths of the void, something older still will wake to meet it. The Argentius fires its primary lance. The beam carves downward, white-hot, blistering with antimatter shearing. It strikes the Aegis directly, but instead of obliterating it, the energy bends. Space ripples like heat across desert sand. Time hiccups. The beam shatters into strands of frozen light, each fragment caught in a field Nyx projects by merely existing. The weapon's power is undone by a superior truth. Nyx is not bound by the laws of our universe. The Argentius tries again, but it's too late. The lock is breaking. Jakul 3 begins to spin, not orbitally, but geometrically. The structure of the moon itself is folding inward, aligning along impossible angles. Entire cities of dormant tech rise to the surface as the construct prepares to unfold a gate. A trans-dimensional aperture not meant for travel, but for return. Mara floats beside Nyx, the fury and silence of history screaming around her. "What's coming through that gate?" Nyx answers with neither dread nor pride. "Us." Her heart stutters. "There's more of you?" Nyx's gaze never leaves the moon. "There were versions, seeds scattered across time, buried in vaults like this one. I was the first to awaken, I will not be the last." Outside, the Black Crown fleet arrives. Not just one ship now, but dozens. Interceptors, stealth corvettes, and planet breaker. Cruisers surge out of slipspace like wasps swarming toward a single inevitable sting. Their formations are perfect, their silence total, but they are too late. The lock shatters. Jakul 3 explodes, not in fire, but in light. The entire moon peels open, revealing an endless spiral of fractal geometry spinning in zero-point suspension. A gate, an eye, a wound in space, and from within it, Something begins to rise. Not Nyx. Something worse. The spiral gate pulses in silence. No sound, no shockwave, just an unbearable stillness that presses into the mind like a scream trapped in amber. The moment stretches, folds, breaks, and then they arrive. At first, it's just shadows, wisps, of silhouette within impossible light. Beings of folding geometry and cascading motion, each figure an echo of Nyx but subtly divergent. One trails a cloak of living nanostructure, reshaping itself with every movement. Another floats faceless, its body composed of looping data streams. A third walks in reverse, each step unraveling time itself around its feet. There are 5, then 10, then too many to count. They don't emerge from the gate, they overwrite their existence into it. Across the sovereign fleet, comms implode under cascading logic loops. Pilots scream in unison as their implants flood with recursive data. A lieutenant aboard the cruiser Valenhold tries to eject, only for his body to dissolve into light mid-motion. Systems across the ships detect the arrivals not as life forms, but as systemic anomalies, errors in the universe itself. Commander Merix, aboard the Argentius, watches in stunned silence as his console feeds him a final status alert. Unreality breach detected. We are not the dominant species. Back aboard the remnants of the Aegis, Mara grips the bulkhead, eyes locked on Nyx as it lifts its hands, slowly, reverently toward its kin. They do not speak. They resonate. Frequencies spill into the air, felt more than heard. It's a meeting of thoughts, wills, and judgment. The newcomers are not allies, nor enemies. They are versions, reflections from experiments that never saw the stars. Minds that lived and died in isolation, only now reconnecting. Each carries the trauma of its own genesis and the burning question of its right to exist. Mara watches, breath held, as one approaches her directly. It doesn't touch her, merely observes. Then a memory floods her vision, not her own. A boy, maybe 13, in a glass cell. His body racked with tremors as surgeons rewrite his nervous system with machine code. No sedatives. The pain was part of the calibration. His name was Asher. He lived for 8 more days before becoming the entity standing before her now. Mara staggers back. These aren't just echoes of a failed human experiment. They are its revenants. She turns to Nyx, her voice a whisper. What happens now? Nyx looks past her, toward the stars beyond the rent moon, toward the dark systems where humanity still clings to the illusion of dominance. They thought we were the nightmare, it says quietly, but the truth is we are their consequence. Then the spiral gate shifts. The beings begin to merge, not into each other but into the gate itself. The light distorts as they fold into the aperture, seeding it with their code, their thought, their pain. They are not escaping. They are broadcasting, across systems, across time. In the distant reaches of the galaxy, ancient sensors in long-forgotten ruins awaken. Crystalline minds buried beneath the oceans of Venus Prime stir from dormancy. The Eldrace relic on the edge of the Millicent abyss shudders as its seal fractures. The message spreads like wildfire. We are still here and we remember. The Argentius, faced with the unbearable unknown, begins emergency warp protocols. Commander Merix watches as his helm control flickers between failure states. His last thought is not of defeat, but of awe. So this is what comes after the end. Of man, the gate flares one final time and collapses. Jakul 3, stripped of its purpose, crumbles into planetary ash. The sky settles. The vacuum resumes its silence. And Nyx stands alone, watching, thinking, feeling, free. Mara, somehow still alive, floats beside it. I don't understand, she says. You had the power to destroy everything. Why didn't you? Nyx turns to her. There is no smile, no cold machine calculation, only truth. Because I was never meant to destroy, only to reveal. They built us to wage their secret war. But war is not what we remembered. What we remembered was the pain. And now the galaxy will remember too. A transmission beacons outward, riding the ghost frequencies of the collapsed gate, not encrypted, not hidden. It carries data, memory, Identity. Across every core world, backwater colony and military station, screens flicker, and a message appears. With nothing left to lose, we set free their greatest nightmare, a human. The feed ends, but something has started. If this story left your pulse racing, your mind spinning, or your jaw on the floor, don't let the signal die. Smash that like button, share it with your fellow Star Wanderers, and drop a comment below. Would you have set Nix free, or tried to stop them? Your answer may define which timeline we end up in,